Hello, dreamers. This is episode 9 of Coffee Break Daydreams, which is a proving to be quite a productive exercise for me in terms of my dreaming. I'm recalling my dreams with a greater frequency now. I hope you enjoy a little recap. I hope that the details that I share with you about the various dreams that I'm having or enjoying are interesting for you, that they trigger in you, in your own experience, something which brings your energy up into a good place, wherever you are on the calendar, on the yearly cycle of moods and feelings. We just had a Leo full moon, which has been quite expressive, and there's a bit for me. I've got a couple of people who I care about who got Leo prominent in their chart, or a Leo moon. So when it goes past full, for me, there's a slightly kind of anticlimactic feeling about it. But anyway, that's another story. So, getting on to the first of all, I got coincidences written down here. Well, what happened was I'd had a dream about this boathouse, which I described in the previous video, and then I was talking with someone within a day or two of having had that dream, and he described having visited a hotel which was built like a boathouse, and I like that kind of coincidence. I think that helps to reinforce what's happening. So yeah, keep an eye out for those, I guess, and by vocalizing it with you, or if you're in the habit of talking about your dreams and vocalizing with maybe your partner or someone who you trust or care about, then you sometimes you find that maybe you'll find that by sharing those incidences of strangeness, that things will kind of piece together for you, or that maybe you'll find an increasing number of your dreams take on a value to you, which has more than just kind of curiousness and weirdness to it, but actually kind of carries you through the day a bit. Second point is I've had for many years a recurring theme for me has been wolves. I don't want to go into too much detail this time on that, but I did have another dream about wolves. I was going down some stairs. There were these wolves, at least 3, chasing me, and I think there was someone else there as well. And these stairs were in a kind of office block. And I got to the bottom thinking, we've lost them. And then we kind of went outside at ground level, and there was this barrier up, and these 3 wolves on the other side, and the first one was kind of friendly. Obviously I was a little bit scared because I thought, these guys are kind of antagonistic. But the first one was kind of friendly, and so I was still nervous of it, so I kind of tapped it on the nose and kind of said, "Down, boy," And the second one was a bit more boisterous, I think. By this point, I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute." And then the third one was properly vicious, and the only thing I could do was its jaw came at me, and I had to bite down with my own jaw on the wolf's jaw just to kind of bring that energy back down. The interesting thing in that moment was that as I woke up from that trigger moment, I immediately started seeing with my eyes completely shut. I started seeing bright, glimmering circles of light. Which I was, delighted by, and it's as if fear kind of crescendos into terror, and then it peaks at something else altogether, which is not frayed anymore. So that was good to share with you. And last night I had a couple of dreams that I remember. One is I was writing. I came across this pane, this window pane, pale yellow window pane, and somebody had obviously written words in the condensation previously, but the condensation had kind of grown back over, reformed. So I was looking very closely at this glass surface, trying to figure out the words. And of course, when you're dreaming, there's always that little bit of hazy, random chaosness. So I knew I was looking at writing, and I knew someone else had written it, but I had no idea what it said. I then tried, using my mind, writing a really simple word in the condensation, just by imagining it appearing. As I think you may have heard me say before, and you will have probably heard elsewhere, as soon as you imagine something, it happens, or rather it happens as you imagine it, that they are the same. There's no gap in time there, it's just instant. So I was trying to imagine saying, I don't know, something really simple. I should have tried to write the word lucid, or I am dreaming in the condensation, but it wasn't an option, as it turned out. It just was like gobbledygook. I tried again. Instead of using my mind, I tried using my kind of astral finger, sending my energy out like this and going, that is my dream finger, I'm going to write on this dream window. And again, I couldn't get solid words to form, but I was conscious enough to know that that's what I was trying to do, and I was conscious enough to know that I was in that state of semi-conscious dreaming. So that's exciting. And the last dream I had was which was also last night, was this bicycles dream, I called it, where I turned up to some random guy's house, and he was quite hospitable and friendly, and then at some point it became apparent that it was time for me to leave, but I needed my bicycle, and I knew that it was somewhere. It was one of those classic looking for something that you can't quite find dreams, and he had about 8 or 10 bicycles dotted around his garage and in his porch, and sort of leaning up and randomly, messily all over the kind of the stairwell and this sort of thing. But of course, the one bike that belonged to me, the one bike that I wanted, that wasn't there. All these bikes were blue, and I have a black bike, but I was convinced in the dream that it was blue, and so that was kind of fun. But yeah, just briefly touching back on this thing about words in dreams. When you see words written down, or can touch with your memory, that you can see something written that someone else has written or whatever, even if it's just a really simple phrase, if you can find a way of writing it down, or of seeing it and registering it and thinking that word is lucid or biscuits or whatever it is, but that simple act of seeing a word and then carrying it back from the dream world into your waking memory and thinking that really did say a specific thing. It wasn't just it kind of adds a layer of emphasis to the value of these things, I guess. Imagine the time one could save by writing down all one's important and memorable chores in your dream. And then you wouldn't need a shopping list, you'd have it all written, you'd have it all remembered. So maybe it's the same skill, that kind of eidetic memory business. I don't know. Yeah, and lastly, I suppose I think I want to just say about being sensitive again, and being, affected by the mood of people, and accepting that, this initial rush of enthusiasm that I've had for this project has met with quite a lot of kind of casual disinterest, really. So I'm having to push this a bit, and feel it as a work, feel it as a vocation, not just because I want validation, but because I want to enter into a stronger way of living, a stronger way of being happy. Okay, so that'll do for now, and thank you again for listening. Hello, dreamers. How are you? Welcome to Coffee Break Daydreams, episode 10. Today I am filming from the top end of Marshwood, looking down from the cut through from Simmonsbury in that direction, and Broad Oak is that way. It's about 3, maybe 4 miles between the two, and I've managed about 1.5 miles, and I thought I'd catch my breath, catch up with you guys. So I think if you're setting positive intentions for dreaming or for real life, it's a good idea to take, sometimes it's a good idea to take small steps and to take stock. Enjoy those steps for what they are. I think people have a picture of success which is about, absolute success, whatever that represents. But getting there, maybe it's an eternal quest. I don't know. But allowing oneself to be patient and just to savour the small steps on the journey. The simple business of saying hello to someone you like and exchanging a few pleasantries. That, for me, at the stage that I'm at the moment, that can make my whole life, my whole day anyway, feel like a good dream. So last night I dreamt of the royal family. It's not very clear. I struggled to remember it last night. There was a snippet where the Queen Mother was still alive. That is to say, Charles's mother was still alive, and he was asking her something on my behalf by way of permission. It's interesting, I think, if you're exploring the astral realms, the dream world, how what your sense of right and wrong is still massively, easily influenced by the characters you meet, the people you meet. I've met various famous people, and I'm not sure, some people have said, oh, it's all in the head, you're just imagining it. But these people in the public eye they're the modern, heroes, heroines, and more difficult characters that in years gone by would have been our mythological archetypal characters. I remember meeting Barack Obama, and it was in a tent. We were in a big white walk-in tent, and like you would have at a wedding, you know. And we sat together at this table. There were a lot of tables, most of them empty. And we sat together, and he said, "What do you want?" Which seemed a sensible thing to ask. So I said, "I just want to follow my heart, really." And he said, You can do that. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Another time I met Donald Trump, and he was coming out of a club, and it was packed with young, attractive women. And he had this look in his eye, which was that kind of dangerous twinkle, which is like you might find if you looked in the eyes of a stag. And we met on the doorstep, and he was going off, he was leaving, and I had this odd reaction, which was a mixture of well, it was an extreme situation to feel oneself to be in. He made my skin crawl, but at the same time I had this kind of, I was my power shrank in his company, and it became intolerable. So I woke up. So yeah, it's a beautiful day, in as much at least as it's peaceful, and I can see Bridport nestled in the hills down there. And a useful question to ask in order to manifest or intentionally fabricate, not in a lying way, but in a truthful way, to intentionally bring into being those dream states. I think it's important to take small steps, really. So that's maybe kind of what I'm doing here. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you on the next one.